And my staff will edit out all these little things here. All right, Evan, happy Friday. Uh,
Happy.
hopefully, a beautiful weekend coming up here for everybody. I really appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule to meet with us and tell everybody the story of how we got to this point here. So, share with us a little bit about, your sort of journey to deciding to move forward with top surgery.
Yeah, so I got top surgery about 6 months ago now, a little over. Um, and before that, I had been thinking about surgery loosely for a few years and then pretty figuring out whether this is really something I wanted to do, getting, therapy, doing consultations, all of that,
Yeah.
for probably about a year before therapy or before surgery.
Hmm.
Um, and I think for me, for a long time, top surgery felt like something that was in like the back of the mind, but I didn't want to like think about too much. I
Hmm.
think probably
Hmm.
other people have had that experience.
Right.
And I was like, binding in various ways, but was kind of like, surgery, you know, I don't know if that's a thing I could do.
Yep.
Um, a big part of that for me was um, I have always felt like very connected to my body. I was like a gymnast growing up. I
Yeah.
like do lots of physical activities. I felt always felt very in my body.
Right.
Even when I had like dysphoria, I still was like, oh, but it's like my body. I
Yep.
want
Yeah,
it to
makes
feel
sense.
that way. So actually, the one of the things that made me start being like, oh wait, maybe I could actually get top surgery. Was, I was like poking around on the GCC website and I saw that I had moved to San Francisco like 2 years ago. So once I
Mhm.
was in SF, I was like, oh, maybe that's something I could look into a little bit more. There's surgeons here. And I was looking at the GCC website and I saw that there was something about keeping your sensation.
Hmm.
And I hadn't actually ever flagged that in my head as like a thing that was making me not want to get surgery.
Right.
Um, but once I saw it was an option, I was like, oh, like it like somehow made it feel like it could still feel like my body
Yeah,
afterwards.
sure.
Um, and I think that so then after I saw that, that's when I kind of started kicking off consult processes, and so on. And kind of the whole time I was like, if I get surgery, I will definitely be doing it such that I can retain sensation afterwards. Um, but yeah, so that was a long-winded answer to kind of
No,
how we
no,
got here. But
all that makes a lot of sense, and I think, really, yeah, it's a obviously a totally individual decision rather, and then there's a lot of components that go into that, and it varies from person to person. So everything you're saying and relating makes a lot of sense. But at the end of the day, that was 6 months ago where you had the operation. Um, how are things in terms of the appearance for you?
yeah, appearance-wise, great. I honestly healing went really, really well. Um,
Hmm.
it was I feel awesome about my appearance now. I'm very happy with how it turned out. It feels very like natural looking. Obviously, natural is
Yeah,
who
yeah,
knows. But like I think for me, I had various worries about like, oh, would it like look weird on me? Would it look too flat? Would I look like young or something? But I'm like, I look in the mirror, I'm like, ah, that is just my body. Has it not always been like that?
yeah. No,
So I
that's
think that's been really great.
That's phenomenal. And tell me a little bit about where sensation is at this point, 6 months post-op.
Yeah, sensation is quite good. I was actually just telling a friend about this, who is nervous about getting surgery. Um, I feel like I have sensation basically everywhere on my chest, on my nipples. There's definitely, I think it's not like, exactly the same as necessarily
Mhm.
my skin elsewhere, but like fully would say I have sensation everywhere, can feel it. Um, feels normal. The nipples are much more sensitive than the rest of the chest in the way that I would expect them to be and want them to be. Um, and it was kind of cool as it came back, like being like slowly like, oh, actually, wait, like I used to touch there and I couldn't feel anything, and now it actually feels very normal. And it came back at different rates.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like at this point, I basically have sensation everywhere, and there's like one spot that's like a little bit less, but that I still can feel, but it's just like less than everywhere else. So
Great.
I'm feeling great about it and very, very pleased. I think it would when it was numb, it like definitely like freaked me out a little bit, and I think I it felt very good that it came back.
Yeah, yeah. And if you can imagine, I mean, I think a lot of people unfortunately have that feeling forever, that numb feeling, and it can be very disconcerting. And is really why we kind of developed this operation, both in the transgender and the cisgender population, because I think, you just like whatever that band has that song, you don't know what you've got until it's gone. What you said, I think, is so telling in that, those first few months when things are numb, as we always said they would be until
Yeah.
the nerves wake up, because that's part of the process. There's so many things that I think that people don't realize they have that take for granted because it's always been there and it's just been part of who they are ever since they actually started, being sentient beings. But it's nice to be able to feel those things. And so I guess for me, the last question I would have for you is, you have all this sensation, it feels pretty good. What does it mean to you? Like, why is that important for you? And you can.
Yeah. I think for me, a lot of it goes back, the sensation especially goes back to like what I said at the beginning about like feeling like my body is my body.
Mhm.
I think that like having the sensation on my chest makes it feel like it's not like I like even like really changed my body in many ways. It's like, it's actually the same body. It is a continuing,
Yeah.
it is continuing, it is healed with me. We went through this thing together. I'm still in the same body and still the same person. Um, and I think that has felt like, I think the whole time that's always kind of this the recurring theme that, I like talked about in therapy or whatever about like my body feeling like my own.
Yeah.
And I think that having that sensation is like so critical to that. And then that like enables all sorts of other things that are like the more day-to-day meaning, right? Like, you know, being around the house and being able to like, you know, like be drying off after the shower and like feel, water drying on me or like laying in bed and like my partner putting their hand or head on my chest, which is like something I didn't even really have pre-surgery because I wasn't comfortable with that, and kind of like regaining that afterwards. Um, and I think that's also a big piece of it is I think like in many ways, like when I was nervous about sensation going into therapy or going into surgery, I was like, well, pre-surgery right now, there's actually a lot of areas of my chest that I don't touch. And that, like there is sensation, but I'm not reaping the benefits of it.
Right.
Um, and that now I feel like I've actually, in some ways, have like more sensation than I had pre-surgery because I feel so comfortable, um, like with my whole chest.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that the like being in my own body and feeling that so fully, I guess is what I would say is meaningful about it.
That's terrific. I mean, it's beautifully said. And so, with that, I will say thank you so much for your time. Get to your hopefully Friday afternoon and the rest of your weekend, and I really appreciate it. As you know, again, doors are always open here. If things come up, you can always reach out. So take
Yeah,
care.
appreciate that. And I think
Thank
you mentioned people might reach out. I'd love to talk to anyone if they ever wanted to talk about the experience. So,
you. I really appreciate that. All right. Have a great
cool. Have a good one.
weekend. Cheers.